You can call me a hater. You can call me biased. Hell, you can call me whatever you want to call me. But one thing you will not call me is a motherfucking liar. Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, the reason why I say that once again is because I want it to be very clear that it's obvious I can't guarantee you guys 100% accuracy on a prediction. You know, exactly how the fight is going to go round for round, et cetera, you know, because this is a very, very spontaneous type sport, right? But one thing I can guarantee you is that I will make the most fucking sense when it comes to making these videos. And 80% of the time, from what I've been seeing, when I read these articles, I've debated and went back and forth with, you know, with some of the people on YouTube and all other kind of bloggers and people on the streets. And almost 80% of the time, shit has always turned out the exact way I said it was going to turn out. I mean, let's take a little trip down memory lane. Let's start with Manny Pacquiao. I told you guys after the Manny Pacquiao loss against Bradley, it did not make any sense for Manny Pacquiao to lose his title to Tim Bradley, right? Lose his title to Tim Bradley, it to be considered a robbery, and then Manny Pacquiao declines a rematch to get his own title back. I told you guys 99% of the time, a champion, that is the natural next step for a champion to take, is a rematch and getting his title back. Like I said, Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones versus Montel Griffin. Every single time a fighter lost his title and it was considered a robbery or even a close decision loss, they came back and got their title. What did Manny Pacquiao say? He said the same thing the fans said, and this is where he got it from. This is what made him comfortable to make this decision, because fans kept saying, you know, there's no reason to take the rematch, right? There's no reason to take the rematch. Everybody knows that I won, right? And then you listening to dumb motherfuckers on the internet, they constantly sending me messages talking about, come on, man, we already know there was no money in the Bradley fight. It was the pay-per-view sales was low, and he ain't gonna make no money fighting against Bradley, and that's the reason why Manny Pacquiao didn't want to do it, right? I told you guys all along that made no sense. I told you guys all along the reason why Manny Pacquiao did not want to fight Tim Bradley is because it was arguably his toughest fight. Because Manny Pacquiao had never had somebody out-hustle him in the championship rounds. Manny Pacquiao is the one that's known for having the greatest stamina, not Tim Bradley. Manny Pacquiao was fucking following Tim Bradley around in the championship rounds, you know, losing the rounds. And it was Tim Bradley who finished stronger than he did. Regardless of who you thought won the fight, I'm not talking about that right now. The point I'm making is, I was telling you guys that Manny Pacquiao didn't want this rematch because Manny Pacquiao, he had dealt with the toughest opponent he had ever faced, right? And we know that to be the case now. You know why we know that? Because after all them excuses that people made, money excuses, nobody wants to see the fight, what did Manny Pacquiao do right after he seen Tim Bradley fight Provodnikov? He tried desperately to say, you know what? I changed my mind. I want a rematch with Tim Bradley. Why do you guys think this is, man? Why do you think this is? It can't just be coincidental, right? Because we already know Manny Pacquiao, he believed that Bradley was too much of a risk and he was too tough of an opponent that first time. But after he seen Bradley struggle against Provodnikov, he said to himself, you know what? Maybe I can beat this guy. Matter of fact, I know I can beat this guy, right? It was proven in Manny Pacquiao's actions. You can't explain that. You cannot explain why Manny Pacquiao would say, go on national television on ESPN and say, well, yeah, I'm not going to fight Bradley again because everybody knows who won already, right? And then all of a sudden, after you see him have a poor performance or a less stellar performance, now you want to say, oh, you know what, on second thought, you know, X that out that I said that. I do want to fight him. And to really, really emphasize how bad Manny wanted this fight, you know what he did? When Marquez decided he was going to fight Tim Bradley, Manny Pacquiao tried to outbid Marquez. Manny Pacquiao even offered Tim Bradley more money than Marquez offered him. Okay? What does that tell you, guys? You know what Manny Pacquiao just did to all the fans that defended him? He just made all you motherfuckers look stupid. He just made all of you guys look like a damn contradiction. Because all of those excuses you guys tried to use to defend him, Manny Pacquiao completely went against everything even you guys said. That proved me right. That proved that I was right all along, right? Now let's move to Marquez. Marquez just said a week ago, proving me right once again, he just said a week ago that Tim Bradley is a much more difficult fight than Manny Pacquiao. What was it you guys were sending me on fucking YouTube on my videos? Oh, that's fucking stupid. How can Marquez be worried about Tim Bradley when he just knocked out Manny Pacquiao and Manny Pacquiao beat Tim Bradley? This is the kind of messages I was getting, right? This is the kind of messages I was getting. You know, fucking, oh, Bradley will be easier than Manny Pacquiao. Bradley is nothing. Bradley is this. And once again, Marquez corroborated exactly what I was saying. You guys go back and watch my old videos. I told you guys, Nacho Beristain, he is not a fucking fool. I told you guys this. Nacho didn't want this fight with Tim Bradley because Nacho, he understands the sweet science of the sport. Marquez and Nacho Beristain, I should say, Nacho is more of the intelligent trainer. He's not the dumbass trainer who just tells his fighter to go in there and show your heart. Do it for your pride. Go in there and throw a million punches and show this motherfucker who you are. That's not the type of trainer that Nacho is. Just like I said in my videos before, man. I said all this before. Nacho, he knew deep down in his heart that Tim Bradley was a good boxer. Tim Bradley had head movement, speed, could fight in the inside, could fight in the outside, ring generalship. He can do many different things. But it was a smokescreen because Nacho can't say, you know, I don't really want to fight Bradley because that's going to be a tougher fight than a Manny Pacquiao fight. He can't say that. So what does he do? He plays the ignorant role. And he says, you know, the type of smokescreen shit. Oh, he's just a boring fighter. He's this, he's that. Then right after he calls Tim Bradley a boring fighter, fucking Tim Bradley is involved in candidate of Fight of the Year. How do you guys explain that shit? Once again, what I said before was proven. All the people who tried to dispute what I was saying, Marquez, he proved me right. Marquez said in that article, Bradley is going to be a more difficult opponent than Manny Pacquiao because Bradley can do many more different things. Styles make fights, guys. You can't base an outcome on, oh, well, if Bradley so-called lost to Manny Pacquiao and Marquez just knocked him out, that's only common sense that Marquez is going to destroy Bradley. You can't look at things that way. Once again, Muhammad Ali, he fought Joe Frazier 3 times. The first time he lost to Joe Frazier, right? He came back and beat him, but he could never even knock Frazier down. George Foreman comes along. He knocks Frazier the fuck out in 4 rounds. Knocks his ass off the fucking ground. Knocks his feet off the ground, literally, right? Knocks him out in 4 or 5 rounds. Something Muhammad Ali could never do. But then when Muhammad Ali gets in the ring with George Foreman, Muhammad Ali knocks out George Foreman. Styles make fights. Okay? Styles make fights. So once again, I was proven right. And this is the point, and this is just the point that I wanted to make. Marquez understands, and Nacho understands, that Tim Bradley will be a much tougher opponent. Now, the only reason Tim Bradley, like I said, there's still a possibility that Tim Bradley may never be the same after the Provodnik fight. I don't know. Maybe he can recover. Maybe he cannot recover. But if this is the same Tim Bradley that fought Manny Pacquiao, I completely agree with Nacho and Marquez's assessment. This is going to be a much more difficult fight for Marquez than the Manny Pacquiao fight was. And I know this may sound strange when you guys first hear it, but trust me, when I explain it, it's going to fucking make sense. When it comes to Tim Bradley, I truly believe, especially if this is the same Tim Bradley that fought Manny Pacquiao, Marquez will be an easier opponent than Manny Pacquiao was for Tim Bradley for two simple reasons. Because Manny Pacquiao is way faster than Marquez, and I still believe that Pacquiao has far more power than Marquez does. I even believe that even though Manny Pacquiao and Marquez both don't have the greatest defense, I still believe that Manny has a better defense than Marquez does. When Marquez gets hit with a shot, especially if you back him up to the ropes or something like that, if he gets hit with a shot, Marquez will just go toe-to-toe with you. And he'll leave himself open even more, like what he kind of did against Floyd Mayweather. And he did against Manny Pacquiao as well. Okay? But on the flip side, just like Marquez said, Tim Bradley will be more difficult than Manny Pacquiao will be. And I just explained that as well. The reason is simply, and Marquez even explained it, the reason is simply because Tim Bradley, he has better head movement. He can fight in the inside. He can box. He can counterpunch. You know, he has a very good chin. He's very determined. So styles make fights, guys. So let it be known. I remember when me and a cool cat on YouTube who does videos as well, Tyreek, we had a debate going back and forth on the Manny Pacquiao-Tim Bradley rematch situation, right? And I was saying all the shit that I'm saying today. And Tyreek, like a lot of Manny Pacquiao fans, they were arguing that, no, you got to understand, Dante, it's a business. You know, boxing is a business, and that's the reason why Pacquiao don't want to fight, Tim Bradley, et cetera, because it's a business, man. Well, all I got to say is, if you don't want to hear this shit from my mouth, hear it from Manny Pacquiao's mouth. I mean, the argument that the first fight didn't make that much money and it wasn't that big, it was such a senseless, dumb argument. And the reason why it was such a dumb argument is because we already know, by the history of boxing, we already know that if any superstar, pound for pound champion, loses to anyone, gets knocked out by some no-name bum, the rematch automatically becomes bigger because a champion just lost. Regardless if he was robbed, no matter how he lost, a champion just lost. You instantly make the rematch bigger because people want to see if the star is going to come back or if the star is going to lose again. Was it a fluke or no? Like I said, when Mike Tyson fought Buster Douglas, do you think that was one of Mike Tyson's biggest viewed pay-per-views? Come on, man. That probably was out of all the pay-per-views he did against Buster Douglas, that was probably one of his lowest pay-per-views, right? But how big you think that Buster Douglas Mike Tyson rematch would have been? It would have been fucking huge. Just like Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva, who just lost against Weidman. Dana White is already saying the rematch, which is, I believe, set for December. He's already saying that rematch is probably going to be the biggest UFC fight of all time. Why do you think that is, guys? Why do you think that is? Same thing with Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen, when he first fought Anderson Silva, that fight wasn't supposed to be that big. I mean, you had a fighter who had 10 losses. No one gave Chael Sonnen any chance. All of a sudden, he made the first fight close. The rematch was one of the biggest fights in UFC history. It would have been no different with Tim Bradley. But they will sit there and they will tell you there's no reason for the rematch because they were afraid that Manny Pacquiao might lose to Tim Bradley. And you will no longer have that excuse anymore of, oh, the first fight, Manny Pacquiao won that first fight. Oh, no, but we don't need a rematch. Because if Tim Bradley wins the rematch, then you have to admit you were wrong all along. And Manny Pacquiao was wrong all along. I rest my case on that shit. Alright? Once again, Manny Pacquiao told the motherfucking truth. It's no different than a fucking defense attorney about to do his closing arguments defending his client, which is up for fucking murder. And while the attorney is doing his motherfucking closing arguments, the client just stands up and says, you know what, I can't live with it no more. I killed the bitch. I killed the bitch in cold blood. Go ahead and handcuff me. I'm ready to go to my damn cell. Right? Now the prosecutor's sitting over here with his mouth open like, what the fuck? This is how Manny Pacquiao made a lot of people who defended him look. This is how a lot of Marquez fans who defended Marquez, who defended Nacho for all the ridiculous, immature comments that he was making, this is how they look right now. You know, it's really interesting. It's really interesting because I've learned if you really delve deep into a person's brain when you're talking to them about boxing, when you really, really start to make so much sense, like I do with a lot of people. You know, I have conversations with people, and you know, the ones who come at me sideways, real ignorant and dumb, that are making no sense, and they talk like a lot of people, a lot of the casual fans on YouTube, when they try to come to me like that on the streets, man, I make so much fucking sense. They be sitting there, you know, looking all strange like, damn, I didn't even think about that. Well, I didn't even think about that either. They always have that befuddled look on their face like they don't know what to say, right? For example, I learned a lot when I talked to this young man, or I won't say young man, it was an older man who came over to my house to fix my TV or replace my TV, the Geek Squad, right? So this Filipino guy, you know, like I said, he's fixing my TV. And he notices in my house a lot of boxing trophies and, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, we get into talking about boxing. And then the Manny Pacquiao, Tim Bradley situation comes up. And I ask him, I say, so why do you think Manny Pacquiao doesn't want a rematch with the guy who just beat him or robbed him? And Manny Pacquiao lost his title to Tim Bradley. Why do you think Manny doesn't want the fight? And before I could even finish the question, he cut me off and he started using the exact same talking points that Pacquiao fans would use. And he said, oh, it's because everybody already knows that Manny Pacquiao won the fight. And he said, nobody wants to watch that fight. He said, nobody cares about that fight. Nobody wants to watch it, etc., etc. Right? He said all this stuff to me. And I started debating with him. I started making way too much sense. I was like, the same shit that I say in my videos, I was saying to him. I was like, but what about, you know, all the other people? When you normally lose to somebody and you rob, you normally come back and whoop-de this and whoop-de that and whoop-de this and whoop-de that, right? Man, after I was finished with this man, do you know he had this puzzled look on his face, and all of a sudden, guess what? The truth came out. That's right. The truth came out. What the shit that came out that the coat is never supposed to let out, right? All of a sudden he starts saying, well, yeah, you know what, you do make a lot of sense. And then all of a sudden he starts saying shit like, man, I mean, that Tim Bradley, man, I mean, he just took everything Manny Pacquiao had and he just kept coming. Man, that Tim Bradley is tough, man. He took a punch, you know, he got hurt, but he kept coming. And, you know, and he was doing good in the last rounds. And all of a sudden, it was a different type of Manny Pacquiao fan that was talking. The truth came out. And guys, if you dig deep enough, you will get to the truth. with almost any person that you talk to. Don't get me wrong. Some people just too filled with ignorance and hate. This guy, he wasn't filled with that much hate. He was just filled with a little bit of ignorance, so it was easier to dig the truth out of him. Like I said, when you listen to the people defending Marquez, saying, or defending Nacho's comments. Oh, how could Marquez be worried about fucking Tim Bradley? Well, listen to what Marquez just said. He even said that Bradley is a more difficult opponent. Right? Don't take my word for it. Take the guy's words that you're defending. Right? Same thing with the Mayweather situation. People want to say Floyd Mayweather is a runner. Even if Floyd Mayweather stands right in front of you, they still call him a runner. So you got another, follower of the dumbass that said, hey, are we supposed to still call him a runner because he's actually not running anymore? The leader of the pack is like, yeah, just keep calling him a runner because we already started the shit, so we got to keep the shit going. Even though it doesn't make sense, we got to keep calling him a runner, right? Now, you're making yourself look dumb because now, guess what? If you call Floyd Mayweather a runner, you got to call Mikey Garcia a runner. You got to call Canelo a runner. You got to call Marquez a runner. You got to call any fighter who takes a step back or jumps back or slides to the side. You got to call any of these guys a runner, right? So once again, the point that I'm making is these haters, they know the truth deep down, but they do not want to accept the truth. Think about it. They were saying that Floyd Mayweather was afraid of Canelo before Canelo had fought anyone. Before Canelo had even fought Austin Trout, people were saying Floyd is afraid of Canelo. Even when the contract got signed, and it had to be probably one of the fastest negotiations I've ever seen, even when Floyd Mayweather signed to fight Canelo Alvarez, the same Canelo fans are still saying Floyd is scared. Floyd is scared of Canelo. Floyd would have been scared of Duran. Floyd is scared of this person. He's scared of that person. So once again, you got the follower saying to the leader of the dumbass, cult. So he's fighting Canelo now. So are we supposed to still call Floyd Mayweather afraid, even though he's fighting Canelo now? And this is the guy we were saying he was afraid of? The leader of the dumbasses is like, yeah, just go ahead. Keep saying it. Because we already got too far. We can't go back now. Because if we were to go back on our word, then we would have to admit that this man isn't scared. Then we would have to admit that this man, he doesn't run. Then we would have to fucking admit he's the best fighter in the world. So we got to keep saying what we're saying. Right? It's called denial, guys. It's called living in denial. Like I said, you dig deep enough, the truth will come out. The truth will come out. I've debated a few cats on YouTube who sent me paragraph after paragraph of ridiculous bullshit that made no sense. After I hit them motherfuckers with a couple of my paragraphs, that truth, it started to sneak out. It started to come out slowly but surely. And now they talk a little bit different now. Okay? So that's what it is. That's really all I got to say on this one, guys. I'm on to the next one.